Mark.
Oh, have you guys seen this thing? This is a ViewMaster 3000. I was just checking out some Safari clips. Last week, Greg kicked us off in our new series, Nearsighted. It's about a guy named Mark who recorded stories of people who follow Jesus. Let's get started. They went across the lake to the regions of Gerasenes. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with impure spirits came from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain. For he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and on the hillsides, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and fell in front of him. He shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you impure spirit." Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "My name is Legion," he replied, "for we are many." And he begged Jesus again and again not to send them out of the area. A large herd of pigs was feeding on the nearby hillside. The demons begged Jesus, "Send us among the pigs. Allow us to go into them." He gave them permission, and the impure spirits came out and they went into the pigs. The herd, about 2,000 in number, rushed down the steep bank in the lake and were drowned. Those tending the pigs ran off and reported this to the town and the countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they saw a man who had been possessed by the legion of demons sitting there dressed in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demon-possessed man, and told about the pigs as well. The people began to plead with Jesus to leave their region. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. Jesus did not let him, but said, "Go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you, and how he has had mercy on you." So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and all the people were amazed.
I really don't like being asked where I grew up. I don't like it because I have a difficult time answering that question. See, I was born in Dallas, Texas, but right before I was a freshman in high school, my family moved to Tennessee. Most of my childhood was in Texas. However, some of my most formative years happened in Tennessee. Now, this move didn't come easily. I was happy in Texas and loved my friend group. In fact, moving to East Tennessee caused a lot of harm and damage. I thought it would be easy to jump right in and make friends, but it just wasn't. I was shy and timid at school. None of my neighbors went to school with me, so I felt isolated at home. The reality was, I really didn't have friends my first year of high school. I specifically remember Halloween of my freshman year. I was convinced that I would get invited to hang out at someone's house or go to a Halloween party. I was going to get invited to something for sure. However, as the day flew by at school, I didn't get invited to anything. All day I kept checking my messages, checking my Instagram DMs. I even checked my email just to make sure I wasn't missing anything. Turns out my phone wasn't broken. I just didn't get invited. I went home that night hoping to get a last-minute text to go out and do something, but nothing ever came. That hurt. But I lied to myself and told myself it's okay. I'll just go home, hop on Xbox Live, play Black Ops 2 Zombies with some of my friends from Texas. So I got my bowl of popcorn, got my Monster energy drink, took it to the basement, and loaded up the Xbox. You know what happened? None of my friends were online. On what I thought was going to be one of the best nights of my life, I was completely and utterly alone. I had no one. I remember throwing my controller against the couch and crying alone in my basement. Not something I like to think about. This set the tone for the rest of the school year. I quickly became lonely, depressed, and angry. I started doing things I didn't want to do and thinking things I didn't want to think. I remember being so mad at God. I just wanted to be left alone. Everything annoyed me, including hearing or talking about God. Going to churches on Sunday annoyed me. I mean, if God is so loving and perfect, why was I suffering so much? You see, I had a lot of chains holding me back from God. My anger, my loneliness, my pride to control everything in my life. At the time, I believed these things were justified by my situations. But really, all they did was hold me down and keep me in a very dark place. I wasn't walking with Jesus and living the life He called me to. Each of us are designed differently, and we all go through situations differently. But I'm sure some of you have struggled with loneliness and anger at God. In fact, all of us have chains that hold us back from living out our calling. I'm certain each and every one of you has some situation or some stronghold, some resentment that holds you back from the life that Jesus offers. And a lot of times, we believe our situations can never be fixed, and we're stuck the way we are. I know that when I was in high school, I thought I would never find a group of friends. I thought the loneliness would never end. Some of you might feel like what you're going through is never going to end either. Well, let me tell you about a man who lived 2,000 years ago. He doesn't even have a name. He's just referred to as the demon-possessed man. Sounds intense, right? Well, he ends up having an encounter with Jesus that completely changes his life. Let's read this story. They went across the lake to the region of Gerasenes. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an impure spirit came from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him with anything, not even with a chain. For he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart and broke the irons of his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and he fell on his knees in front of him. He shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you impure spirit." Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "My name is Legion," he replied, "for we are many." And he begged Jesus again and again not to send them out of the area. Okay, let me pause here for a moment. Jesus, coming straight from calming the storm, shows up to Gerasenes, and a wild man who can't be bound with chains and hangs out in graveyards comes up to him. And we find him where? Falling on his knees, asking Jesus, "What do you want, Son of the Most High God?" That's crazy. Without seeing Jesus before, this possessed man automatically identifies that Jesus is the Son of God. Then it's revealed to us that this man's possessed by a demon named Legion. Some history here, but during the Roman Empire, an army of 3,000 to 6,000 soldiers was called a legion. So not only was this man possessed, but he had a whole army of demons possessing him. Yet, we find this army pleading with Jesus. How powerful is this Jesus man really? At least 3,000 demons. Think about that. 3,000 demons. And they all decided this man's too powerful to try and fight? Seems like they know something we don't. Let's see how this ends. A wild herd of pigs was feeding on the nearby hillside. The demons begged Jesus, "Send us among the pigs. Allow us to go into them." He gave them permission. And the impure spirits came out and went into the pigs. The herd, about 2,000 in number, rushed down the steep bank into the lake where they drowned. So Jesus decided to grant these demons permission to go into the pigs. Did you notice that Mark uses those words? He gave them permission. I don't know about you, but I think if I ran to a possessed man that had at least 3,000 demons inside of him, I would be a little scared. But not Jesus. In fact, the story says that they begged Jesus to send them into the pigs. Begged. Could you imagine with me for a second watching 2,000 wild pigs run off a cliff because of a single command by Jesus? So Jesus cast out the demons. I wonder what happened to this man. Did he pass out? Get sick? Go insane? Well, lucky for us, Mark decides to conclude this story with the aftermath of this incident. Verse 14 says, "Those tending the pigs ran off and reported that in the town and countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons sitting there, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demon-possessed man, and told about the pigs as well. Then the people began to plead with Jesus to leave the region. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. Jesus did not let him, but said, 'Go to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you, and how he has had mercy on you.' So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for them. And all the people were amazed." Let's reflect on this story for just a moment. This man, who had been bogged down and really held back from living the life he was meant to live, was radically transformed through a single encounter with Jesus. He drew near to him, and his life was never the same. He was transformed. His life was completely and utterly different because of Jesus. This man wanted to come with, but Jesus had different plans. Instead, he challenged this man to go all through his own people and tell them how much the Lord had done for him. The bottom line of the story is that Jesus is powerful and loving. He saw how much pain this man was in and didn't leave him there. He healed the man and gave him a mission. Now let me flip the script. If you draw near to Jesus, your life will never be the same either. If you draw near to Jesus, your life will never be the same. In the same way that this man's chains were broken, Jesus has the power to break our chains and offer you the life you really want. Yes, the life that you really want. The life where you feel loved, valued, heard. Let's face it, deep down, that's what you really want, and Jesus gives that to us. So let me ask you this. Stay with me. What are some of the chains you have in your life? Is it your relationship with others? Is it your anger, your busyness, your addiction even? What I really mean is, what's holding you back from just going all in to run after Jesus with everything you've got? We know what he can do. We just heard the story. He's capable of getting you through your hardships. So why don't we always go to him first? He's the answer you've been waiting for. But what is it that holds you back? Maybe you're just not sure how to go to Jesus. Is it uncomfortable and awkward? Maybe you feel too ashamed of what you've done, so you just avoid him. Maybe your mental health is bad. Let me encourage you right now. Nothing you've done, will do, or can do would make you less worthy of Jesus' love. He's already paid the price for you. All he wants from you is to run to him. So how do you do that? Well, to be honest, I can give you resources and tools, but the one thing that I really want us to focus on is community. Who is your community? The types of people we surround ourselves with are the types of people we become. If you want to live the life that Jesus calls us to, we need to draw near to the people who also want to live that kind of life. We don't have to be perfect. We're not going to be perfect. But if we surround ourselves with others who want the same thing, we're going to learn and grow with one another. And you can do this right here. Keep coming back to groups. Keep coming on Sunday mornings. Get connected with your group leader. Hang out with each other outside of groups. The more you spend time with one another, the more you're going to bond. So let me close by finishing up my story from the beginning. When I moved to Tennessee, I had no one in my corner. My freshman year was tough. There's no denying that. It hurt. It was rough. But Jesus did not let me stay there. My sophomore year, I met someone. His name was Cade, and he invited me to come to some random guy's house to do a Bible study. So desperate for friends and willing to do anything, I decided to give Jesus and God another chance. I went to this guy's house, met a ton of people from my school, and began to make friends. Slowly, but surely, my community began to influence every aspect of my life. I began to talk to God on my own again. I began to read the Bible again. I began to invite in others to come to our Bible study. The truth is, I don't know where I would be if I wasn't invited to that guy's house. Just like Jesus tells the demon-possessed man after he's healed to go out into his homeland and tell about how much the Lord had done for him, you and I are called to do the same. There's someone at your school or on your sports team that could use an invite to come here on a Wednesday night, or go to Rita's with you, or movie night with you and your group leaders. Could you just imagine with me for a moment what it would look like for us to be people who are chasing after Jesus together and bring others alongside us as we go? Just imagine a group of people who are passionate about seeing more people leave their chains behind and follow Jesus. I want to be a part of that community. After all, people need hope, and Jesus calls us to bring hope to others. If we can draw near to Jesus, our lives will never be the same, and we'll want others to join us as well. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to be transformed by Jesus and his people.